stories around the world to stories here at home. This is the National News Broadcast. A pleasant evening. I'm Delanjali Ananda.
A very good evening to you indeed. I'm Shehara Hera. Now let's first have a look at the headlines for tonight.
The president says that plans should be set up to avert the migration of countries' intellectuals and professionals to other nations. Minister Sajith Premadasa submits a request to the Prime Minister on the United National Party presidential candidate. The Prime Minister says the country has the potential to be South Asia's first advanced nation. An escalation in the rainy condition in several provinces from next 20th. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani escapes from a suicide bomb attack in Afghanistan.
And now moving on to your top story this evening, President Maithripala Sirisena emphasizes that plans should be set up to avert the migration of countries' intellectuals and professionals to other nations. He made these remarks while taking part in the inauguration ceremony of the Sri Lanka Engineering Council today. The ceremony was held at the Department of Irrigation premises. The new office of the Engineering Council was declared open by the President Maithripala Sirisena. SBS Abekon has been appointed as the incumbent chairman of the Sri Lanka Engineering Council. President Maithripala Sirisena stated that many issues have arisen over the migration of intellectuals of the country to other nations. The President stated that many countries in the world, including India, have allocated constitutional provisions to control the migration of intellectuals and professionals. He further stated that these constitutional provisions have not been included into the country's constitution. Therefore, the President stated that the country's intellectuals and professionals misuse them, the freedom given to them. He stated that necessary plans should be set up to bring out certain number of intellectuals and professionals who have migrated to other nations back to the country with the intention of improving the services provided to the country through them. President Maithripala Sirisena emphasized that plans should be set up to avert migration of countries' intellectuals and professionals to other nations. The President declared September 17th as the National Engineering Day today. The President also launched a new website of the Sri Lanka Engineering Council, and Ministers Patali Champika Ranawaka and P. Harrison were present at the occasion.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the country has the potential to become South Asia's first advanced nation. He further said that necessary measures have been taken by the government to leapfrog from its current status. The Prime Minister made these remarks while speaking at the Sri Lanka Economic Summit 2019 held in Colombo today. The theme of the two-day event has been titled as Recalibrating the Sri Lanka's Economic Trajectory towards 2025. Together, over 450 local and international participants consisting of prominent business leaders, policymakers and experts are taking part in the event. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe attended the first session of the event as the chief guest, and Minister Mangala Samaravira was the guest of honour.
We are going to become an advanced economy. Then we must have a highly competitive economy. We have to join the global value chain. That's what we have to do. There's no other way out. To do so, you are all worried. How are we affected? How are we going to, will we have to close down? No. Our commitment is to promote trade adjustments, packages, so that you can upgrade your venture or expand your venture or go into a new venture. This has to be done. But then we are living in a Sri Lankan business economy where you don't have always the necessary equity. Equity comes from the banks. So how do we support you and take the risk? It has to be a trade adjustment facility, a private sector development facility for our people, which has about a facility with 200 billion US dollars at any time to draw on. We replenish it as it go along. But it must be specific ones, and for ventures that will be certainly assessed and approved by banks and others. Let's have the money available and give it out at a time. This facility, I think, would help all of you to get out into that market and become big players instead of being small players. We need a new outlook. So the government machinery has to be restructured. Whole thing has to be more private modeled on the private sector. Our treasury should be like the New Zealand treasury. Our people have done a good job, but now we've got to face an advanced economy. The whole single window process has to be built into the system. And we have to have a delivery-oriented public sector in key areas. We need competent facers. We have to rebuild trust. And that's the way to go forward. I cannot promise you anything else. I don't. All I can tell you is we get together and we work as Sri Lankans. We can pull ourselves by our bootstraps to become the first advanced economy here in South Asia.
I had also suggested that let business of Sri Lanka and business of India talk to each other. Let them first decide what is in their best interest. If they come to conclusion this is necessary, then obviously governments can step in. It is like a girl and a boy deciding to get married, then they can go to the government, to the parents for blessing. I think that is what is necessary. And nowadays I think that's the only way the marriages happen. So I think we must make sure that business on either side talk to each other, understand find a solution, what is the best in their own way, and then we can definitely make it happen. But I can clearly see a great potential and advantage into having this partnership. So we'll be very happy to support it. But again, I repeat, only if Sri Lanka feels it is going to benefit them. It should never happen that we can have a partnership which is lose some and gain for others. It can never be sustainable partnership. It should be win-win. And the win-win formula, which is always easy to say but difficult to achieve, can happen, in my opinion, only when the stakeholders talk to each other. And I think, therefore, I really look forward to that happening.
Most importantly, we have moved away from a corrupt, discretionary economic system towards a transparent, rules-based level playing field. We are now in the process of expanding good governance to the economy, focusing on critical bottlenecks to growth, namely macroeconomic stability, SOEs, and tariffs. You all know that Sri Lanka has experienced chronic macroeconomic instability since independence. Since then, we have had no fewer than 16 IMF programs. The preeminent cause for this instability is the fact that the government can finance its deficit by instructing the central bank to print money. In addition, the Secretary to the Treasury sits on the Monetary Board. As you all know, ministry secretaries are now political appointees. This government has respected the independence of the civil service, but many governments, if not most, have not done so. If there's one reform that will stabilize Sri Lanka's macroeconomy, it is central bank depolitization and independence. That is what will be done when I present the Monetary Law Act in Parliament next month, complemented by fiscal rules legislation designed to prevent Sri Lanka from living beyond its means.
As the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister have pointed out, we have made significant progress in stabilizing the economy. Now, what remains a work in progress, however, is to strengthen the growth framework of the economy. I think this happens in any reform program. The stabilization kicks in first. You have fiscal consolidation, you have prudent monetary policies. All that tends to reduce aggregate demand. But you have to counter that by undertaking structural reforms which would drive growth. But they take longer to do and they're more difficult to do.
Without paying the government, they can keep. I mean, the government is willing to give 133%. Here we don't have any package. Then people are not coming. This is the reason American, Canadian investors are coming to India because of this kind of a package. The package is here and there is different. Because thing also not for the export. The food processing zone only upgrade the farmers. This is the main concept. It's not to export. Just to upgrade the farmers, they give 133% grant. Then you think that investor will come here? No, it's very difficult. Because we have to see that the competitors, what kind of a package they have.
Present the book, the framework to the other dignitaries.
Any of these questions?
And now Minister Sajith Premadasa says that he has made a written request to the Prime Minister to take steps to follow a democratic mechanism in selecting the United National Party presidential candidate for the upcoming elections. He made these remarks at a media briefing held in Colombo.
Surmise the content my letter, basically I expressed my own intentions to come forward, and if there are contra opinions and various other interested personnel who are keen on becoming the candidate, to follow the democratic procedures within the party to go ahead and make the selection. In other words, I requested that there be an immediate meeting of both the parliamentary group and the working committee. The meeting of both the group and the working committee, it can be a consensus building meeting. So if we arrive at a consensus, there is no necessity to do anything else or to resort to any other procedure. All I'm saying is let there be frank and transparent discussion within the working committee and the parliamentary group, and then all of us will be able to ascertain the plethora of opinions among the members of the working committee and the group, and if there is consensus, so be it. But if there are diversity of opinions, you can adopt the greatest democratic principle and model, that is to have a democratic vote, secret ballot. I'm actually reflecting the aspirations of the people as a whole. There have been a large number of common men and women who have requested me to come forward. So I am gracious enough to admit that if there are more candidates who are keen on coming forward, so I cannot have my own way. I must explain to you, this is not a political monopoly or a political oligarchy, and there is no autocracy and dictatorship within our party. So just because I want to become the candidate, I cannot have my own way by myself. If there are people or personnel who are keen on putting forth their name for the candidature, so be it. We'll go for a secret ballot, a democratic vote will be taken, and we shall abide by the result.
Secretary General of United National Party, Minister Akhilavraj Karyavasam, says that certain entities are making attempts to portray a crisis situation between United National Party and affiliated parties and organizations of the alliance over the nomination of the candidate for the upcoming presidential election. He said that the United National Party will contest for the upcoming presidential election with an expanded alliance. He said that the relevant agreements have been reached between the parties to establish an alliance thus far. Accordingly, the presidential candidate will be presented from the United National Party. The minister said that the presidential candidate will be selected according to the party constitution while safeguarding democratic norms and traditions. After choosing the candidate, the minister said that the parties affiliated with the alliance will provide their fullest support within the agreed policy framework for the candidate to be victorious at the upcoming presidential election.
And now a discussion was held between the officials of the Elections Committee and the representatives of the political parties at the Election Secretariat in Rajagiriya today. According to reports, the Election Commission officials have obtained opinions and suggestions from all political parties during the meeting. The time period to conduct the presidential election was discussed during the meeting today. Certain political party representatives have stated that the election set to be held between November 10th and December 7th, while other political party representatives was in the belief that the presidential election will be held between November 15th and 23rd. Relevant regulations to hold the election were discussed during the meeting. Opinions and suggestions have been obtained to hold an election without violence and in an environmentally friendly manner.
Speaker Karu Jayasuriya says that he will consider the request made for him to contest for the presidential election with the main objective to abolish the executive presidency. He said that it will only be with the parties advocating for improved optimal democratic reforms presented by the 17th Amendment and ensured through the 19th Amendment and stood for these demands since 1995. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya issued a special press release today clarifying on this regard. The statement further read, the country's religious leaders various civil society organizations, professionals and intellectuals from various fields and youth representatives had called on the Speaker during the past couple of weeks. The Speaker has mentioned in the statement that they had requested him to contest for the upcoming election over several specific points. The Speaker has expressed his gratitude to all those who have placed their faith in him. The statement further read that if the Speaker does decide to enter the fray, it would be a commitment made for a limited period of time with the intention of laying the foundation for an economically and morally sound, secure country with an advanced democracy. He emphasized that it will never be an intervening with the expectations of the presidency. He had further stated that if he is to contest representing the parties led by the United National Front, it would be with the blessing of all parties as per the party's constitution.
And now Sri Lankan Airlines wins the Best Marketing Innovation Award from the Airline Passenger Experience Association. This is also known as APEX. This is a result of intensive efforts to drive the recovery of the island's tourism industry in the aftermath of the Easter Sunday attacks. The airline has also managed to secure the 4-star rating in Major Airlines category for the 3rd consecutive year.
Welcome to Sri Lankan Airlines.
APEX is the world's only non-profit membership trade association, a network of the airline industry's leading airlines, airline suppliers and related companies dedicated to improve the entire airline passenger experience. Sri Lankan's marketing effort was chosen as the winner over entries by Qatar Airways and Virgin Atlantic that were also shortlisted nominees in this category. The award ceremony coincided with the Apex Expo Annual Industry Convention at the Los Angeles Convention Center from 9th September till 12th. Sri Lankan Airlines Chief Commercial Officer Joshua Bustos received the award at a ceremony in Los Angeles. The campaign centered on the Buddhist festival of Vesak to showcase the unity and spirit of tolerance among Sri Lanka's many ethnic and religious communities. It has reached an audience of 7.6 million people with 1.2 million engagements via live streaming over social media that specifically targeted major tourism markets worldwide. Sri Lankan Catering ensured continuous service during the 12-hour activation at this award-winning endeavour by delighting the travellers at BIA with refreshments.
Hi, Sri Lanka. Hi, very nice to be here. Very hospitable.
Hi, Sri Lanka. Hi, Sri Lanka. Hey, Sri Lanka.
Hi, Sri Lanka. I am happy to be in Sri Lanka.
Hello, Sri Lanka. I like it so very much. It's a very beautiful country.
And Sri Lanka. Oh, that's cute. Thank you so much.
Minister Sajith Premadasa says that a revolutionary development based on social welfare while prioritizing humanity will be carried out in the country in the near future. He said that he will take necessary measures to ensure welfare of all people in the policy-making and development processes. Minister Sajith Premadasa made these remarks while taking part in the ceremony to vest the Mountain Clifford housing complex built in Homagama under the Samata Savana Middle Income Housing Development Program with the people today. The housing complex consists of 830 housing units. The project, which was built on a 15-acre land, was completed at a cost of close to 5,300 million rupees. The project was carried out jointly by National Housing Development Authority and International Construction Consortium. Many social welfare projects, including housing loans for low-income earning families in the area and presenting of land deeds, were organized parallel to the ceremony.
And now, parliamentarian Tushara Indunil has requested the President to establish a commission to probe into the misplacement of a sum of 2 billion rupees in 2012 during the construction of the Lotus Tower. He made these remarks during a media briefing today. Parliamentarian Tushara Indunil stated that a commission should be appointed to probe into the payment of 2 billion rupees to the company named Elite in 2012, which has no existence and not registered in China. He stated that the alleged parties of the scam should be disclosed from the investigations.
new parliamentarians sworn in at the Parliament today. Parliamentarians Shant Bandara was sworn in into the vacant UPFN National List seat in the Parliament. D.B. Herat sworn in to fill the seat made vacant by the demise of late parliamentarian Salinda Disanayaka. Meanwhile, Manoj Sirisena sworn in to fill the seat made vacant by the demise of late parliamentarian Chandrasiri Gajadira.
And now moving on to the prevailing weather situation in the country. The Met Department says that though the rainy condition in western Sabaragamu, southern central and north central provinces is expected to be reduced, an escalation in the rainy condition may take place from the 20th of this month. The Met Department stated that the highest rainfall was recorded from Veveltalava in Kegol at 90.1 millimeters. The Met Department stated that showers or thunder showers may occur in several places in the coastal regions of the country. The wind speed may increase with the thunder showers in coastal regions, which could create a rough sea situation. The water level in the Kaluganga has risen in Millakanda area and the level has escalated to a minor flood situation. The water level of the Nilvala River is continuing to escalate in Pandugama area and residents have been advised to be cautious regarding the water levels. The water levels of the Attangalla is continuing to reduce in the Doonmala area and the residents in the low-lying areas have been advised to be cautious regarding the water levels. The National Building Research Organization has informed the people to be cautious of landslides, slope failures, rock falls, cutting failures and ground subsidence. The organization has identified Ratnapura, Nuwara, Kalutara districts as landslide risk districts and has advised people to be cautious of early signs of landslides. The automated sluice gates of the Kothmale Reservoir have been opened due to heavy rainfall in the surrounding areas. The engineers of the reservoir have advised residents in the low-lying areas to be cautious with this regard. Surrounding low-lying areas have been inundated due to the overflowing of the Kirama Ara Oya, which is a branch of Nilvala River. Surrounding low-lying areas in Bulat Singhala have been inundated due to the overflowing of the Kaluganga.
We momentarily deviate from local news to bring you news from Asia on our segment Asia in a Minute. India's top court said yesterday the federal government should restore normal life in Kashmir as soon as possible as a partial shutdown of the disputed region entered its 42nd day. Brent crude, the international benchmark, fell 1.78% to $67.79 per barrel in Asia today. Yesterday, Brent surged by 14.6% for its biggest one-day percentage gain since at least 1988. South Korea has raised its animal disease alert to the highest level after its first outbreak of deadly African swine fever at a pig farm in Paju, a town near the border with North Korea. Dozens of orangutans are suffering from respiratory problems caused by smoke from forest fires in Indonesia this week. And we continue with local news. National Intellectual Property Office has been assigned to prepare an appropriate mechanism for all TV and radio channels to pay necessary royalties to the relevant artists when airing their songs. These recommendations have been directed by the Parliamentary Sectorial Oversight Committee, Education and Human Resources Development after today's meeting. The Parliamentary Sectorial Oversight Committee held a discussion on the appreciation and recognition of the services rendered by musicians, singers and lyricists today. The meeting, presided by Chairman of the committee, Parliamentarian Professor Ashim Marasinghe, was held at the Parliamentary Complex today. Representatives of Oscar and Akpo companies, independent artists and the heads of TV and radio channels were present for the meeting. The discussion was held over the issues raised on the implementation of the issued Gazette notification related to the National Intellectual Property Office. An agreement was reached that the royalties paid for the artists are justifiable. The final agreement on the royalty payments are expected to be reached when the committee convenes on September 24th. Today is the 113th birth anniversary of late J.R. Jayawardena, who was the first executive president in this country. He is considered to be a veteran politician in Sri Lanka. Late J.R. Jayawardena, who was elected as a member of the State Council in 1943, held many ministerial posts. In 1978, he was elected as the first executive president of this country. Creation of the free trade zones, the accelerated Mahavali program was some of the development and economic awakenings which were created under his leadership in the country. It was he who took the initiative to bring peace to Japan at the San Francisco Conference. A free market economy was created in this country in 1977 and a new constitution was introduced by late J.R. Jayawardena in 1978. The function commemorating the birth anniversary was held at the J.R. Jayawardena Centre in Colombo this evening. The event was held under the patronage of Speaker Karu Jayasuriya. A floral tribute to his statue was made during this occasion. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya recalled a comment made by the former President J.R. Jayawardena regarding the executive presidency and said that the former president pointed out that the executive presidency will not be abolished. He added that the former president had said that the person who comes to the position always hesitates to abolish the powers vested with the position. The speaker said that the late former president will be joyous if the executive presidency is to be abolished. And he recalled how the late former president governed the country in a spiritual manner, as he always averted corruption. He said that the justice and law prevailed during the late former president's era. Family members of late President J.R. Jayawardena, ministers and MPs were present on this occasion.
And now the world's largest human resource conclave, the World HR Congress 2020, is set to be held at the BMICH next year. The biannual International HR Congress will be held from the 6th of July till the 8th. A press conference was held in this regard at the BMICH today. CIPM Sri Lanka, together with Asia Pacific Federation of Human Resource Management and the World Federation of People's Management Associations, is set to host the event.
Now, Sri Lanka has been rated repeatedly by the Lonely Planet as the #1 tourist destination. The world is recognizing our natural beauty. In addition to the natural beauty, we have the brains as well. We are highest in terms of the conceptual skills around the world. So it's an opportunity to showcase what Sri Lanka can do. This tiny nation in Indian Ocean, the pole of the Indian Ocean, and they say the land like no other. So it is the small miracle. So what we can do as a small miracle to the world, we can bring authenticity to the table, we can bring diversity to the table, and we can ensure that we all collectively learn from one another.
But I just want to emphasise what a robust process that the World Federation goes through to appoint its conference hosts. And one of the reasons that CIPM and Sri Lanka were chosen was because of their long-standing record in developing the profession of human resources in Sri Lanka. Not only are they a robust organisation, they've developed their qualifications, they've developed the various programs they run, but also they've lifted the profession, both in Sri Lanka and actually in the region. And that goes a long way from the World Federation's point of view. It goes a long way in the part of the tender process. And they had some stiff competition. They had some really stiff competition, particularly, I think, from Australia, who again, are a large organisation who've previously run congresses. But we were so pleased to be able to award the Congress to Sri Lanka.
Captain of the Sri Lanka cricket team, Dimuth Karunaratne, was presented as a CIPM brand ambassador at the press conference today. And now moving on to the stock market. The all shares price index closed at 5,811.07 points, dropped by 17.07 points, and the S&P SL 20 index closed at 2,786.60 points, also dropped by 21.36 points. At the end of trading in the Colombo Stock Exchange today, the turnover was over 381 billion rupees. And now here is a summary of the market details of the Colombo Stock Exchange for today. And now Lakshita Rasanjana of Nalanda College, Colombo, won the Schoolboy Cricketer of the Year 2018-2019 award. The award ceremony was held last night at the Nelum Pokuna Theatre in Colombo. The chief guest of the event was former Sri Lanka cricket captain Kumar Sangakkara. The awards were presented in the categories of All Island Schools, Emerging Schools, Upcoming Cricketers and Girls Schools. The runner-up award for the Upcoming Cricketer of the Year was given to Chamod Sandaru of Piliyandala Central College. The Upcoming Cricketer of the Year was given to Samit Isuru of Karandenia Central College. The best wicketkeeper of the All-Island team was won by Shannon Fernando from St. Peter's College. The best fielder award was given to Lakshita Rasanjana of Nalanda College. Santosh Gunatilaka of St. Peter's College won the best batsman award. The most popular cricketer of the year was given to Navod Paranavithana of Mahinda College Gold. Runner-up award for the best schoolboy cricketer of the year was given to Kavishka Senadira of Trinity College Kandy. Lakshita Rasanjana of Nalanda College won the Schoolboy Cricketer of the Year 2018-2019 award. And now with that we conclude tonight's news live on Channel I. Do join us tomorrow at the very same time.
Good night.